A comparison of Wiesel's Night and Rousseau's Confessions. This essay involves two famous writers and their works, Elie Wiesel's Night and Jean-Jacques Rousseau's Confessions. We shall discuss the similarities and differences between the two using themes and ideas and the roles that different styles play in these works. Both writers seem to have much in common in their way of thinking and analyzing situations. In addition, the two books talk about the life experiences of authors, bring to light some bad characters that they encountered in the past, and openly bring them to light. However, the two books also have several differences not only in the plot and character settings but also in the intentions exposed by the writers and the modernization or traditions involved. To analyze similarities and differences in these great works of Elie and Jean-Jacques, we shall first look at the individual plot. The Night is a great work by Elie Wiesel. It's based on his life experiences as a young Jew to his older years. The main moments that he states in this book is his life after he and his family were sent to the German concentration camps during the World War II. When he was at the age of 16, he lost his faith in God and the entire humanity when he saw how unfortunate his world had become. This was after the liberation of the Buchenwald, which was one of the German concentration camps. The event was such a disappointment to him that he vowed he would not speak of them for the next 10 years. In 1955 he brought his story to light after he published it in Yiddish. Night contains a sparse and fragmented narrative style, but later Wiesel destroys it by use of frequent quotes of his views, which he calls the style of the chroniclers. He quotes, "Everything had to be said in one breath, you never know when the enemy will come." Wiesel's distrust in God is one of his repeated themes. It also compares to the father-child relationship he had. His father declined to a very unstable state when Wiesel was still a teenager, forcing him to be the sole caregiver to his father. But later Wiesel seems tired of being the resentful caregiver. "If only I could get rid of this dead weight and concentrate more on my own survival." He later realized how ungrateful he sounded and felt ashamed and sorrowful. According to his book, everything seems to have been changed. No cultures, no plans. This is a clear indication of how darkness was used to show the end in the Jewish community. The next book is Confessions by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, which discusses Rousseau's first 53 years. The Confessions are a series of books that involve a sequence of the author's experiences. This book does not only involve the hard times that the author had but also the parts that were quite okay, such as his education years. The book is mainly famous since it is one of the earliest autobiographies where the author talks about himself. He begins by saying that he will portray a clear nature of a person, but he refers to himself. Earlier, he had predicted that there would not be authors who based their plots and styles as he did, but this turned out not to be true after several other writers came up with the same ideas. Among them were Goethe, Trollope, and Tolstoy. Rousseau seems to display several incidences of character where most of them are humiliating and shameful. He gives an example of the time when he was a servant. He covered up his theft cases by blaming a girl who worked in the house. He also goes further to narrate how he disowns the 5 illegitimate children he had with Therese. Through his work, he gained so many critics such as Diderot and Voltaire, who slandered and framed him. Rousseau did not mind the many enemies he was making. He only saw it as a result of his talents which others did not have. The two books discussed above differ in several areas, but they also have several similarities. Both were based on the two authors' life experiences. Night is based on the author's life in the German concentration camp. He narrates his time there, which he did not want to talk about for 10 years since it was too bad of a memory. This setting seems to be similar to that brought out in Confessions, where the author expressed the times he had as a servant that even resulted in his unaccepted behavior, referring to the time that he steals and flames another servant. The two authors also show similarity in their characters. They do not care much about the welfare of others. This is seen when in Night Wiesel becomes fed up with taking care of his father. He says that at an extra work and the time he devotes to his father, he could have been busy building a future for himself. The same attitude is seen in Confessions when the author frames a girl who worked in the house that she was the one who had stolen. The result of their attitude is based on the need to prosper by all means without actually considering anything. Wiesel and Rousseau are both authors who based their writings on their lives. Most of the books are about their young lives, which were full of challenges. Night talks about the hard times the author had, though the author of Confessions includes both difficult and good times. when he remembers the memorable good moments of his education time. There are various roles brought out in the two books that assist in their plots. These include trauma, emotions, adolescence, and family life in both narratives. Trauma role is used in the plot development of the two books. In Night we find that the author sees his father as a burden, and this is assumed to be a result of the hard times he is experiencing. He says the future has no room or relevance after the camps of Germany gone. In Confessions, the author steals and frames the servant. He also disowns his 5 children since it was not only a burden but also a chain to escape from. Emotions are also a great factor in the books. The authors express their past experiences by emphasizing the activities they think were most memorable and meaningful. After the author of Night had considered his father as a burden, he later said that he was ungrateful and selfish. Adolescence is also seen in the two books where the authors set goals only in their favor. It is assumed to be a result of their young age that the authors were both adolescents at the time of their experiences.